Okay, you're probably asking yourself, why are we looking at this photo of Sam Hyde holding a firearm from 2016? Let me explain. We're going to talk about the allegations, but before we can talk about the allegations, it's important for a lot of the more casual internet users to understand context. For most of you that just use the internet to like play video games and browse Reddit for the occasional like news about Twitch or obscure tech solution, you're not going to really understand what we're talking about unless you understand Sam Hyde. And which is to say, understand that Sam Hyde is repeatedly implicated in mass shootings and terror attacks, even though he has not at any point been involved in any of those things. Okay? He's never been at a mass shooting. He's never committed a terror attack. It's all a LARP. It's a troll. People do it for fun. People do it to try and make fun of him. Okay? Got that? Good. Now, let's move on to the allegations against me. This is from a website called Encyclopedia Dramatica. There are many websites like this: Kiwi Farms, Lolcow Farms, Ruby Cow. They post naked photos of people without their consent. They post people's address and personal information, passwords, things of that sort. It's the whole point of this is to make fun of people and you know, shit on them and kiki it up about it. That's all it really is. And this particular website has had an article written about me since I was about 15 or 16. So over 2 decades, over 20 years ago. Okay. So just to put that in perspective, back then I trolled a lot of people. There's a separate video about the Hezi situation and how, you know, I was indirectly responsible for exposing him and all these other people. There's people we're going to talk about that are mentioned in here who are, you know, currently on watch lists. So let's just take it one step at a time. There have been substantial allegations of murder, theft, rape, genocide, and pedophilia, all made against Xenuria. Even some nebulous claims that he jaywalked one time in 2017. Again, if there was a record of this, it would be very easy to find. This document, if you've seen it, posts pictures of my house, it posts my family, it posts my full name. Anybody could look my name up. They could check and see if I had a record. I do not. I have no arrests. I have no investigations. I have no criminal record whatsoever. I don't even have parking tickets or unpaid book fees. I am completely as squeaky clean. I pay my taxes way ahead of time. You know, that isn't the issue, right? But people don't engage with this stuff at that level. They see a post or a chat log and they're like, wow, that's crazy, bro. Crazy work. Anyway, bullshit. At the second Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, I was a scheduled speaker, apparently. Not true. There would have been video of that. 45-minute late to the rally due to infection of his foreskin. Okay, so the very same article that claims that I had an infection of my foreskin, which I never did. I've never had an infection anywhere down there. Also claims that I have a vagina and has a photo supposedly of me bent over showing off my vagina. That photo is not actually of me. It is actually of a person by the name of James Darling, who, that is a porn name, by the way. They own a website called FTM Fucker. They are a trans man that looks like me, or I look like them, or some combination of column A and column B. The point is, I don't have a pussy. I have a penis. And this is like one of the first major contradictions of the article. He was still there to hold a shield, stand aside fellow Vanguard members, shouted Jews will not replace us, and was doxxed and fired from his job at Papagino's Pizza. I don't know who wrote this, but it's kind of wacky. I've never worked at Papagino's in my life, okay? I'm not even sure I've even eaten there, okay? And I definitely was not at the Charlottesville, Virginia rally. Guest appearances, Daily Show, Warski Life, JF Garippy. I don't know what these things are. I know who Nick Fuentes is because he's been popping off recently in the news, but I don't know who these other people are, and I wasn't at any of these things. Moving on. Xenuria tried to get Hockles, a 12-year-old boy, strip naked and show his cock. Later showed up at his house in a puke green 1972 Ford Pinto and tried to sell him Pokemon cards that he printed himself. That's not true either. So Hockles was a dude that I encountered way back when I was about 15. I joined something called Ventrilo. And Ventrilo is basically before Discord, before TeamSpeak, before Mumble, all of these things, and it was absolute, pure, unadulterated AIDS.
Guess what, faggots? I'm recording you.
That's basically what Ventrilo was for a lot of us, and it was often in vogue to be as blatantly, aggressively homosexual as possible. A lot of people would make jokes about each other. There was some crude joke between Hockles and a guy named Zombie and another guy named Tree involving a sex act known as an icy cool horse. I really don't want to describe what that is, but I promise you it's not good. And there was something about Hockle's popcorn cock, but like nobody was trying to get him to strip naked except for maybe Tree, which about that, Tree, who I'm not going to say his real name because it's YouTube, but he did send a Stitch doll with a strategically placed hole to Hawk's house, like because it was his way of like sending drugs in the mail. It was like weed or something in there, but there was also allegedly cum on the bag of weed. And then we later found Pornhub videos of Tree having intercourse with stuffed animals that had fleshlights pushed into them. It's really bad. Basically, that part did happen. This guy was really weird. I actually reached out to law enforcement and almost got this guy arrested. He was at a convention somewhere in St. Pete, some cabin somewhere in the middle of the woods or some shit. And they were, and we know this because he told us this. Like he was very open about this and bragging about it. But basically, the cops raided the place because there was a bunch of illegal shit happening there. Tree and his friends were leash training a 14-year-old, some weird furry shit. And then it just so happened that Tree had to take a leak. He didn't want to wait in a long line to take a piss inside this convention center. So he went out into the woods to pee on a tree. And right at that moment, that's when the cops came in and arrested everybody, according to him. So he got away. Whoops, there's nothing I can really do about that. I did my due diligence. I contacted the proper authorities, which incidentally, if you believe any crimes are committed or have been committed or whatever, just contact law enforcement. Don't harass people on the internet about it. Seriously, don't be weird. Anyway, moving on. Said that I race mixed with a black lesbian woman and betrayed the right white race. Basically pure fucking evil, never relax around him. Between the years of 2005 and 2009, several women went missing in Spring City, Utah. It was later discovered that their bones were used to build some kind of avant-garde art exhibit in an underground BDSM sissy hypno rave. That's not true. That did not happen. I've never been to Utah. There's also some AI post on like some fake AI newspaper of me being in like Ogden and like slashing up women and girls there. It's bullshit. It's not real. Lines off the back of Tommy's Femboy, Brooklyn nightclub. Did 3 8 balls of coke. Yeah, I've never done cocaine in my life. And those of you who have done cocaine, maybe you can shed light on this. I don't think anybody can do 3 8 balls of coke and then reenact Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver, which I've heard is a good movie, but I haven't seen yet. It's on my list. And when questioned by police, he remained silent and tested negative for any narcotics. Like, come on, man. That's not real. Okay, moving on. Yeah, this is going to be a long video. Sorry, but it has to be done. This is part 2 of the article. Stanley Kubrick, something, Eyes Wide Shut, has said that he's dated no less than 3 women who had Labyrinth posters in their bedroom. This makes sense because Xenuria dates a lot of teenagers and is so impossibly autistic he has a pie chart of all the women he's fucked. Okay, so this is out of context. I didn't say, here's an obscure fact about women I date. They all have Labyrinth posters. That's not what happened. I do have a pie chart, and it is like a breakdown of like different people I've been intimate with because like data is important because someone was saying that like I only fuck college girls or some stupid shit like that. And I pointed out that like there was a 52-year-old on there. There was like some women in their 30s and 40s. There was some women that were like 18, 19, 20, and basically that's where that comes from. Notice they don't actually link the pie chart because it would kind of deflate the entire argument. Um, totally not a lesbian vampire. So I've actually gone out in the sun many times. There's video of me out in the sun. The black gauge nitrile gloves. I do own black gauge nitrile gloves, and I do use them in coitus with women of a sapphic persuasion, but I don't think that that's illegal. Basically a daywalker of lesbians, and his breast milk grants eternal youth. But yeah, that's, come on, man. Come on. That's science fiction. That's not real. My breast milk would not be able to do that. That's insane. Cornfield incident. Cornfields results in him being arrested, convicted on weapons charges. The night of the arrest, he was wearing a long red hooded robe. Okay, so there are actually photos of me in a robe. Let me pull these up. Okay, so yes, I was in a cornfield, and yes, I was in a red hooded robe. But no, I was not in Indiana in a cornfield in a red hooded robe. In fact, this took place in Norristown Farm Park in PA. The photo did, not the allegation. And it had nothing to do with a farmer's daughter or going to prom. I went to a prom, but it wasn't like a prom. It was an adult prom, like 21 plus, at a nightclub in Manhattan called Slate, where you get ID'd at the door and there's a bar and alcohol. And again, because it is 21 plus, and there are photos of me dancing at this prom. See, again, like they take something and they try to make it salacious when it's not. This is me right there, standing awkwardly because I don't know how to human properly. And there's like a big gay pride flag. There's a bar. People are drinking alcohol. Everyone's 21. Nothing weird happening. So again, it's bullshit. I didn't actually go to like a high school prom with some farmer's daughter in Indiana. The other thing that I get a lot is there's a lot of Reddit threads saying that like I kill women or that I'm weird, that the vibes are off. Most of these are from EVE Online, which there's a separate video explaining like Hezi and the whole situation with him and how I met this dude when I was 15 or 16 and he, you know, did some weird things to me and my friends. There's a whole separate video covering all of that because it would just make this video, which is already too long in my opinion, even longer. But let's stick to the simple stuff here. Volcanoes. Am I throwing Vietnamese children into volcanoes? No, I am in fact not doing that. That's a crazy thing to say. I'm also not smuggling drugs for the Taliban. I am not in any way involved in intercontinental human trafficking with shipping containers or any human trafficking at all, really. I've never been to Louisiana. I don't know anything about a human trafficking operation there. Again, this is all stuff that would be really easy to prove if it was real, because I'm not a multi-trillionaire. I don't have like political backing. I'm not a head of state where I can just kind of shrug this stuff off and make it go away. I'm just a dude in his 30s who lives in New Jersey. I'm not a criminal mastermind. I get kicked out of places on Discord. People will ban me, right? Because they think that I've done some horribly heinous shit. And don't get me wrong, I've said some things that were not polite, and I've said things that were maybe could be construed as racist, but you know, the stuff that they're writing about me on Reddit and on eDramatica it's insane. And some people are in on the joke, right? When somebody makes a post on Reddit and says, yeah, I know Xenuria, he raped and killed me in 2023. Hate that guy. Still think about him sometimes. It's like, well, obviously that's bullshit, right? But If you're a bunch of meth heads on the internet on a server called Mirage, well, then you might make a Reddit post about it. How about this? This was 2 years ago. And then we were all sitting in Mirage and nobody could figure out who actually made the post. And a lot of people thought that it was me making this post, like it was me with an alt account. And then of course they keep calling me a pedo and a groomer and all this stuff. And Hezi even chimes in, which again, definitely check out the Hezi video. Some pretty damning stuff in there. It turned out that the owner of that community, a guy named Don Vito, was a prolific methamphetamine user, and he eventually went completely insane. But then he got off the meth, and then he got married and lived happily ever after, apparently, which is good. You know what? Good for him. But basically, this is what tends to happen. I'll go somewhere and people will be like, oh my God, aren't you the guy that vandalized the monument? Or aren't you the guy that got raped in that hotel room? You know, perfect example right here. This never happened. This is from the MMO RPG forum. There's like a big thread with a bunch of deleted posts and banned users talking about the allegations against the Matani and the situation with Hezi, which later, spoiler alert, if you don't want to watch it turned out he was behind it all the entire time. He was actually the founder and the admin of Oifi, not me. And he was actually a cop the whole time, which makes everything that he did to those people allegedly, even worse. Even more fucked up, if you can imagine that. So basically, the point of this video, we're going to circle back to Sam Hyde here, who I've never met, by the way. And I also never dated Justin Roiland or matched with him on Grindr. The point is that people on the internet are going to say a lot of shit about me because I've ruffled a lot of feathers in the early days of the net. I've gotten people arrested. I've gotten people in a lot of trouble because those people did some bad things. And I'm not going to apologize for that. And I'm not going to apologize for being an authentic and honest and wacky, zany individual. But what I will say is the shit that people are accusing me of is bullshit. And without fail, every major person who has come forward and accused me of something like this has been exposed for doing the very same thing themselves. We're actually going to run that list really quick. Iceman, Zombie, Skater, Doozy, Glizzy, Daylol, Booty Monster, Lee, Talia, Don Vito, Pogi, Crank Spinatra, Nico, Lex, Camino, Animal, T-Pog, Wardog. Wowee. What a dramatis personae. What a cast of characters. A real rogues gallery of allegedly diddlers and bad people. Well, actually, Skater and a few of these other people, they actually have criminal records, so it's not really alleged, is it, if they were charged and convicted? My point is, if any of these names jump out to you, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're a casual internet user that doesn't know about any of this shit, you at least know Sam Hyde, and you at least understand the concept behind, you know, jacketing and dead agenting and psyops. This video, if you make it through all the way, Spod bless, Tarvu bless, whatever deity you worship. But I'm not dangerous. I'm not a serial killer. I'm not a rapist. I'm not any of this shit. I'm just a weird autistic dude from New Jersey that goes to lingerie parties and runs around in cornfields wearing a robe. Like, it's not, I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not doing anything illegal. I have not done anything illegal, and I don't intend to at any point in the future.